everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all good and keeping well. So in today's video I'm showing you guys how I created this Milky Iridescent style acrylic design set. I'm working on my Glamerliz Elsa hand, and so far all I've done is applied my tips. I haven't yet applied a clear acrylic base, and this is because on the middle and the ring finger we're going to be doing a few layers, so I didn't want the nails to end up too bulky, especially where I'm working on the Glamerliz hand. So on these two nails, instead of coming in with a thin clear base, I'm coming in with a thin milky white base. And I mixed this white myself using CJP crystal glass and a tiny amount of CJP Snow White, just to create that translucent milky white colour. And then I've simply washed it over the entire nail, making sure to get a nice neat cuticle area. And this layer is super thin. It's the same sort of thickness as what I do my thin clear base, which is super thin. It's just a layer to protect that natural nail if you was doing it on yourself, and a thin layer to file back to if doing a redesign. So on to the ring finger, again exactly the same. I'm placing that bead down, tapping it into place at the cuticle, and then dragging it down the entire length of the nail, really smoothing it out, making sure it's really thin and really even. And then on the pointer finger and the little finger, I'm going to do a thin clear base. And I just showed you guys this anyway, because it's similar to how I do a clear base on myself. I don't usually take my clear base right up to that cuticle area, just because I find that it's really easy to end up with a bulky cuticle area. So I sort of just apply it, blend it back slightly towards the cuticle, and then drag it down the entire nail. Obviously, a lot of it is down to personal preference, so it all depends on how you do your nails. So I'm then going to start building up my glitter layers. So I'm coming in first of all with this super fine iridescent and UV blue style glitter mix, and I'm just simply placing a really thin wash of this over the entire nail. It doesn't have to be perfect because you don't actually see too much of this glitter, but it just gives off a hint of sparkle in the background. And then the next layer, I'm using these gorgeous pink mylar flakes. These were actually from Primark, so I can't leave a link to them in the description box below. But I see these in the nail section around a year ago, and I really like them. They're just your classic pink, white, iridescent mylar flakes. So again, I'm doing a thin layer of these over the entire nail. And the next layer, I'm coming in with this gorgeous glitter mix. This one's from CJP. I do believe it's called Snow Queen, but I will double check and pop it in the description box below. But I'm picking this up again with a teeny tiny wet bead of clear acrylic. And rather than applying it to the entire nail, I'm just sort of applying it in patches. And then I'm going to come in and pretty much do exactly the same on the ring finger. So I'm coming in first of all with those shards, and then the Snow Queen glitter mix over the top. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as the previous nail. I think I applied a few less flakes on this nail and just try to mix it up a little bit, but the technique is exactly the same. Basically throughout this set, the technique I'm using with layering is all exactly the same, but I just decided I'd play around and do 2 full nails of it for the middle and the ring finger, and then we'd do like an ombre fade on the pointer finger and a French nail on the little finger, just so you can sort of see the different ways that it could look and different ways to do it in a set. I personally found the pointer finger my absolute favourite in this set, and I would love a full set of those. So over the top of those 2 glitter nails, I am going to come in with a layer of the white acrylic, but first of all, I'm going to allow all that glitter to set in place. So whilst that's doing its thing, I'm moving on to the pointer finger. So this now is a similar design, but a bit more of an ombre. So I'm placing down that same milky white first of all, blending out the back of the bead, and then over the top of that, we're going to come in with the mylar flakes. Again, picking them up with a small wet bead of acrylic, keeping my brush nice and wet so I'm able to move them around and pat and press them into place. The mylar is a little bit more chunky than regular glitter, so I'm trying to make sure to get all of those pieces lying nice and flat. And then I did there just come in with some of that UV glitter, but it's really hard to see. And then again, tapping on some of that Snow Queen. And just like the previous two nails, I will leave the glitter, this layer of glitter, to set before moving on to the next step. So we've jumped to the baby finger and I'm just doing my extended nail bed. So I'm using CJP Amor for this, placing down my bead, blending out the back of the bead, and then I'm just using my brush to map out the shape of that extended nail bed for my smile line. Now, if I did this set again, I would have used a more darker pink or a nude maybe. No, a more darker pink, I think, for this step, because the Amor just blended too well against the glitter. So it was kind of tricky to see that there was a smile line there, if that makes sense. I think just the tone and the shade of Amor is very similar to the Milky Iridescent style of the glitter, so it would have just popped a bit more that it was a French nail if there was a more pink extended nail bed. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, then I've come in and applied my cuticle bead, tapped it into place at the cuticle, and then I'm just bringing the top of that bead over the previous bead of acrylic, making sure my apex is all in place and I'm happy with my structure, which I was. So I then just allowed this to set because I'll file it crisp before doing the free edge. So now I've jumped back to the middle finger and I'm coming in with that same milky white that I've mixed up, and I'm basically putting a really thin layer of this over the nail. I've picked it up quite wet so that I can work it in between those glitter and mylar particles. Where they're layered up, the Snow Queen glitter, for example, on the top is raised slightly compared to the mylar. So just by working wet with that acrylic, I can get really around those pieces to help create the milky effect that I was going for. So it's kind of a bit like opal nails, but I felt like this was a little bit more glitter than you'd use in opal nails, in my opinion. And then just over the top of that, I'm tapping on some more of the mylar just to give it a bit of a 3D effect, so that basically once it's top coated, some of the glitter pieces and mylar pieces will be covered slightly by the white acrylic and some will be full on shiny. So it's very similar technique to when you're doing the milk bath nails, you know, where the dried flowers, you've got some hidden amongst the milky acrylic and some on the surface. So a very similar technique. And again, doing exactly the same on the ring finger because both of these nails are very similar. So as you can see, I'm really brushing that acrylic in and pulling off some of the surface of it just to make sure it's got on all around those glitter pieces. And then this time I just tapped on some of the mylar flakes and some of the Snow Queen glitter just to throw in a little bit of a mix when it comes to the way the glitters will reflect. And then any places where I felt there wasn't enough of the white, I just come in and applied a little bit more. So then I will still have to cap these two nails in my clear acrylic. So that's why I've tried to keep each layer as thin as possible, because it would be very easy to end up with a bulky nail. But what I'll now do is allow the white acrylic to fully set, and we're going to jump back to the pointer finger. So again, here I'm doing the same as what I just did on the previous two nails because I want the tip of this nail to look very similar to those. So we're just putting that white wash of acrylic over the top and then tapping on some glitter. I just absolutely love the effect of iridescent glitters, but I really do also like how they look matte, and I feel like this effect was sort of somewhere in between doing a matte iridescent set and a glossy iridescent set. Just by having that wash of white acrylic, it give off, in my opinion, you will see at the end, a really cool effect. So I hope you guys like it too. And then we've jumped back to the baby finger. I've already filed my extended nail bed nice and crisp just to make sure it's as sharp as I can get it. And then I'm coming in with the white, taking it right down to the wings of that nail just to make sure that there is that layer of white there. And then exactly the same technique as before, but this time I decided I would come in with the Snow Queen glitter first of all, just to see if it give off any sort of different effect. So I'm coming in with that, small wet beads of acrylic, just the same as before. It is a little bit trickier, especially getting down the thinner parts of the nail, but I'm just trying to sort of nudge the glitter around so the finer pieces of glitter get down into those wings. Then I'm coming in with some of that finer glitter mix over the top, and then the mylar flakes will come in after. So I just sort of mix the glitters around, just because with these kind of designs, this is how you would find what way looks better. So I feel like these are quite similar to opal nails, but opal nails have a little bit more of the white. I wanted more iridescent to show through for this particular set. But if you've done anything similar to this, let me know in the comments below because I would love to see. And then I'm going to leave that glitter to set because that free edge will need to be capped. So we've jumped back to our pointer finger where I'm coming in with Amor. So I've drained the back of my bead just to make the colour look a bit more pink. It shows up very white on screen for some reason, but it's quite a baby pink colour. So I've placed that down, blended out the back of the bead, and then I'm dragging it over the nail. I don't want to take it all the way down to the free edge. I just kind of want this to be that ombre where you can still see some of the glitter under the acrylic. Then coming in with my cuticle bead, I'm tilting my finger downwards so we don't flood the cuticle area, tapping the acrylic up into place using the very tip of my brush, and then just smoothing and evening out that acrylic, taking it down over the previous bead, but again making sure not to take it all the way down the nail. And then again, I'm just tapping on a little bit more glitter to give it that 3D effect where you've got the glitter on the surface and some glitter underneath the white. Like I said before, this was my absolute favourite nail. I loved how this looked, and I don't usually, if I ever do a full set on myself, I don't usually do all the nails the same, but I definitely would be happy with a full set of just all this pointer finger because I was so pleased with how it looked. And then we're just jumping back to the baby finger and finishing up the layers for that particular nail. So again, putting our white layer down and then just tapping on some more glitter. And that's what makes these nails quite easy because the technique throughout is all exactly the same. It's just the hardest part, or sorry, the most time consuming part is sort of making sure each layer has set before you come in with the next layer. So that's why I do lots of jumping backwards and forwards to nails, different nails. So I'm not sort of sitting there waiting for something to set. I'm doing something else, if that makes sense. So now all the glitter has set in place, I'm going to come in and encapsulate. So I'm encapsulating with my CJP crystal glass. I've picked up a nice medium wet size bead, sorry, a nice medium wet consistency bead. And then I'm placing it down, I blend out the back of the bead and then I just walk it down towards the free edge. And then I just continue doing this until the entire nail is covered. This was quite a long nail, so I did it in 3 beads, I believe, because we've done lots of layers. We've already built up a lot of our structure. So this layer, I'm just sort of finishing off building up my structure, but I'm keeping it quite thin. The main purpose of this layer is to just protect all of that glitter from filing. And then I did all of my filing off camera, so I filed all the nails into shape, refined and contoured the acrylic, gave them a good buff, and then I scrubbed away all of the dust, making sure they was nice and clean. And we're now ready to come in and do my absolute favourite bit, which is top coating. So I'm top coating with my CJP tack free top gloss. I'm just going to apply a nice even layer of this to all of the nails, and this is where the magic happens. I just love this nail. I thought it was so pretty. Here, annoyingly, I just had a little bit of dust in my top coat still, even though I washed my hand, scrubbed away all the dust with a nail brush and then wiped over with some alcohol. I still had a pesky bit of dust. And here you can see why I've done the nail in layers, because I wanted some of the glitter to be full on sparkly and some hidden under that milky white acrylic, so it looks slightly dulled. And I absolutely love the effect. I thought they looked super, super pretty. So once I have finished top coating, I will pop these nails in to cure for 60 seconds in my LED lamp. And then guys, we're pretty much at the end of the video. As always at the end, I have left a clip of what the finished result looked like, as well as a picture. So do hang around to check that out. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up or let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're watching and you're not already subscribed, I would love it if you hit that subscription button. Thank you all so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. I love making these videos. They're a lot of fun, but of course it is lovely to know that people enjoy watching them. I hope you are all keeping safe and well and doing okay. And yeah, I shall hopefully see you all very soon in the next video. Lots of love. Bye bye.